Happy Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into another week of Morning Jocks. Conrad Order and Damian Mitchell here with you for the next hour. As, man, we have a lot to recap from over the weekend. So on Friday, obviously, we knew that Miami was going to be playing in the national championship, but we had another semifinal going on Friday night. So we now have our national championship matchup set. But on top of that, I mean, you had a great weekend of college basketball, a lot of great action there in SEC hoops this weekend. You had really a fantastic slate of NFL action. I mean, outside of the game last night, every game this weekend was fantastic. So really, just a lot going on this weekend and a lot of fun to be had there. So appreciate you joining us here and making this a part of your morning each and every day right here on JOX. But we got some big transfer portal news, and this is kind of going to be an interesting next couple of days because the portal, of course, closes on Friday. And once that is done, there is no spring portal anymore. This is it. So you can still come out of the portal if you're already in it, but you have to be in by this Friday. So certainly going to be an interesting week there in the world of college football. But we have a lot to get to this morning, Damian. So let's get the ball rolling here. And I figured we would start off and, let's be honest, Indiana, or that game really wasn't that interesting. We can talk about that a little bit later, but I mean, if you missed it somehow, Indiana did exactly what they did to Alabama, basically to Oregon, and they've left no doubt that they're the best team in the country, and barring, I think, a pretty surprising upset, they are going to be your national champions.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, man. Listen, I thought that Indiana could pull away. I thought it'd be a little bit later in the ball game. Maybe, by the fourth quarter you start to separate. But literally after the first play of the game, you kind of realize, okay, yeah, Indiana ain't here to play around.
Yeah, when you start off with a pick six like that, that's pretty demoralizing.
Right.
If you're Oregon, and especially, I mean, again, you can't write any better if you're Indiana. Just to come off the way you beat Alabama and how good you looked in that game, and then boom, first play in this one, it just continued right on there. But we can get into that in a little bit. But yeah, Indiana, they smoked Oregon, so they're going to play Miami for the national championship 1 week from today. So we've got plenty of time to get you ready for that matchup. But I wanted to start somewhere else, and that is the fact that this was a great weekend for one state. There's 50 states, and one of them had a really good weekend. And then here in the state of Alabama, one of the more notable universities that we cover here did not have a great weekend, and it was because of the state of Texas. So let's start there because it was a fantastic weekend if you are a fan of sports in the state of Texas, particularly the Longhorns, but we'll throw the Aggies in there as well for this one. And not a great weekend if you're a member of the Crimson Tide fan base, I guess, necessarily. So what do I mean by that? Because if you haven't been paying attention or you missed it, you might go, yeah, okay, they lost in basketball, but that's not the end of the world, right? Well, then you look at the transfer portal and some other things that happened, and we'll start with the big news. If you missed it yesterday, Cam Coleman, he does finally make his decision. The former Auburn superstar wide receiver, he's going to Texas, which, I mean, that's...
Superstar?
That's not... Don't do that.
Superstar? And when I look at his numbers, he was a good receiver. Superstar.
Is this how you want to do this at 6:04? I mean, if you want to die on that hill, I'll let you die on it, but I know you're just doing that.
Superstar is a very strong way to describe him, but...
Was he not the number one player in the portal?
He was.
I would say that's a superstar.
He was.
In my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my opinion. Damian hates him, but I think he's a pretty good player nonetheless. But yeah, so he's going to Texas. Again, I don't think that's a big shock. We knew he's probably going to go. Texas, A&M maybe. Texas Tech, I know he went and visited there as well, but he was in Tuscaloosa on Friday. I know a lot of Alabama fans obviously said, oh, well, Isaiah Horton's leaving, so that must be money that's going to Cam Coleman. No, it is not. It is not, apparently, because Cam Coleman is going to Texas. And the report I saw yesterday, people guessing around $3.5 million. We know that he asked for $4 million, so we'll see what the actual number is, but that's kind of the belief, is north of $3 million for Cam Coleman. And we would imagine that's going to be a one-year agreement because then he will be trying to take his talents to the National Football League. So that was the first big one there. in terms of Texas getting a win over Alabama. So congratulations to Cam Coleman. Wish him the best of luck there in Austin. The other one, and the thing that I think really made people's blood boil a little bit, is Alabama's running game this year was not great. And so we all knew that going into it, you were going to have Xavier Crowell coming in, who's a very talented freshman, 5-star guy from this year's class. But you probably wanted to, bring in some experience alongside that. And so Alabama, really early on in the portal cycle, I thought I did a nice job going out and getting a commitment from Hollywood Smothers from NC State, who I guess depending on where you look, was either the number 1 or number 2 running back in the portal. So seems like that'd be a pretty solid addition for Alabama to make.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it comes out over the weekend because he's telling some people one thing and some people the other. And he's telling some people he's going to visit Texas, but then some people he's not. Some people then say he's already enrolled in classes at Alabama, so I don't even know if he would be able to leave. But all of those things being said, it was, okay, well, you've committed to Alabama, so why are you going on this trip to Texas? Well, apparently, he did not sign the paperwork before he left Alabama on his visit, where he, I guess, verbally committed that he would join the Alabama football team. And so he went on his trip to Texas, and they offered him more money than Alabama is. I don't know how much more, but they offered him more money, and he said yes.
Huh.
And so now if you're Alabama, you don't have a running back in the portal, which is something that you seriously need. And I think there's 2 things on this. First off, I think it's absolutely absurd that we've got people flipping in the portal, and that this is how we've now gotten. I guess it's not a surprise, but I think we can all agree that's maybe a little ridiculous. I will also say this. This is just my opinion from the outside looking in. Maybe there's something about the situation I don't understand. How the heck do you have a guy on campus like this, committed to you, supposedly enrolled in classes that you're going to be paying a lot of money for, and you don't have him sign a piece of paper before he leaves the university? Again, I don't do these deals. This is just my opinion from the outside looking in and from talking to people that know the situation. That seems like a massive oversight on my behalf. And maybe that's not the way that it works. Maybe I'm all off on this. But if that is how it works, that is a massive failure by the Alabama coaching staff. And I understand why people have concerns. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's all sunshine and rainbows. They have a lot of work to do. They've got problems. They've got holes on that roster, and they have not addressed them. And that doesn't mean that they won't be addressed. It doesn't mean that they don't have a plan. But I'll be honest, right now, I don't think the plan's working. It does not appear to be working. And so if that means you've got to reassess, whatever it is, a change has to be made, whether it's, a change in strategy from Courtney Morgan, or, look, the reality of it is Alabama can't compete with Texas or A&M when it comes to money, right? If one of those guys, A&M got Isaiah Horton over the weekend, Alabama, you can't match what they're going to offer financially. That's just the reality of it. So you've got to find different ways to be more creative with it, or you've got to find ways where maybe you are just going to have to go. I guess when I hear things about Texas and, they're going all in this year. This is a big year for Sarkisian, and they didn't meet expectations this past year, and so they're going all out. They've got 2 running backs. They've got Cam Coleman. They're getting players on the offensive line. They're doing everything. And, again, I understand they have more money than Alabama, but I would think that next year would probably be an all-in year for Kalen DeBoer in year 3 as well.
Yep.
So it's just, when you hear things like that, it's kind of like, well, is this really the time to be conservative with, who you're going to get out of the portal or how you're going to spend that money? I don't know. That's my opinion of it. But again, I think there are certainly some cracks from the outside looking in, and they got to fix them.
Yeah.
And they got to fix them pretty quick.
No, I think at this point, kind of to your point, so the representation for Hollywood Smothers, if you've seen, just some clips on social media, they are very open with, we're shopping. We are definitely shopping. And for him to, quote unquote, take a visit and kind of leave Alabama waiting in the wind, it's kind of just a slap in the program's face as well. It's okay. Now there's one way to conduct business, and these guys, whether depending on the age, the amount of money that you're being paid, and you are looking and you're seeking to find, you have to take a business like approach. I think that this is shady business, but also this is kind of the nature of where we are in the whole NIL. It's basically when you're in the transfer portal, you're being auctioned. Like it's a bid. It's okay. Well, Texas can empty their pockets. They can write a blank check and say, hey, whatever number you put on this thing, we'll take you. Come on. And to Alabama, you can't it's not even worth for you to compete and stuff like this. So it's kind of one of those things where you're in this mode of we got to protect what we have, but also how do we go about the business of the future if this is how it's going to be? So it like to your point about Hollywood Smothers, if you took him on the visit, you gave him all the glitz and glamour, and he at the end said, I'm committing. We got to get that in writing. We have to get that in writing because you see in a situation like Washington the last week with their quarterback, it's man, nah, you signed it. You signed this. If you think that you are going to hit the transfer portal and go wherever you're going to go, we gave you this amount of money, and we're going to get X amount of dollars back if you decide to renege on this contract. You ain't going out without a fight. So now you're in this position where you can't. Not to say that you can't trust these kids at their word, but you kind of can't. It's well, you told us that you were coming here. Somebody's telling me that you're enrolled in class. Other people are like, nah, he's taking his one last visit to Texas. But when you make the visit to Texas, you end up signing the paperwork and saying you're staying there. So I think all in all, it's a messy business. It's unfortunate, but this is where we are in college athletics.
Yeah, and I mean it's it's not going to change anytime soon. And again, look, I think we can all agree that we don't like the way that these things happen. But I mean, at the same time, right? If you're a kid in these situations and you're basically told you can do whatever you want with no repercussions, I mean, why would you not go to the highest bidder? So again, it's not a situation where it's like that shouldn't be allowed. Like, okay, it's a little messy, sure, but everybody tampers, everybody does these things. It just is what it is. I don't think you can get mad about that because whatever program you root for has definitely done it on the other side, in some form or fashion. It's just the main takeaway from this for me is that seems like that just seems like a mistake, perhaps on Alabama's part. That's kind of the main thing there for me. So, anyways, not a great weekend for Alabama. Great weekend for Texas. Again, they now have the #1 portal class. I'm looking here at 247 right now. Texas has the #1 portal class, and a lot of the concern around Alabama because when you woke up yesterday, this time yesterday they were 25th. They are now 59th after losing out on Hollywood Smothers. So and having that commitment flipped. So they are now 59th in 247's portal rankings, right ahead of Illinois and right behind Syracuse, if that makes you feel any better. I will say this, though, Ohio State is 56th. So, just if that makes you feel.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, if that makes you feel a little bit better. And then to cap it all off on Saturday night, you did lose to Texas in basketball in Coleman Coliseum, 92-88. And, yeah, got to hit those free throws, man. Got to hit those free throws, and but I'll give credit to Texas. They shot lights out for most of the game from deep, and Alabama just really couldn't keep up. And they did a really good job of kind of building up that lead, and so they were able to hang on and squeeze it out there at the end. But that was a big win for Sean Miller and the Texas Longhorns, as Alabama's down 1-2 in SEC play, 11-5 on the season, and certainly some questions now I think about the basketball team as well. Who's, again, not the start to conference play that I think many were expecting there. So rough weekend for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Great weekend, though, for the state of Texas. But there was a couple of good news, a couple of that we'll get to a little bit later on in the show. But it was a pretty good weekend to be an Auburn fan, as well as, talk about what they did on the hardwood over the weekend. But so we'll keep you up to date what's going on in Auburn Tigers world next. What's going on with them in the portal? Recap of their big backs over the weekend. That's all next here on Morning JOX. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on a very chilly Monday morning. Going to be below freezing a couple of days this week, in the morning at least, and then going to warm up, of course, in the afternoons. But yeah, stay nice and warm out there. Make sure you bundle up before you head out to work, school, or what have you today. And you don't want it to be cold at home either. So a phone call, because they can help you out with that. And of course, flu season is also here, and they want to help make your home healthier with Trane's home Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those causing virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go find a dealer near you today online at Trane.com. All right, let's get into what happened over the weekend for the Auburn Tigers, because they certainly, I think of the two major fan bases here in the state, I think the Auburn fans probably had a little bit more of a smile on their face this weekend than the Alabama fans did. So we'll start on the hardwood because, man, they absolutely smoked Arkansas. Easily the most impressed I've been with Auburn all year here in the first year of the Stephen Pearl era. But they win 95-73 over the 15th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. And man, what can you say about Keyshawn Hall? He has been everything I think that Auburn thought they were getting in him and more. But I mean, you just look at him. He led the way on Saturday, 32 points, goes 11 of 14 from the floor, 4 of 5 from 3-point range, perfect from the charity stripe, adds in 5 rebounds and a couple of assists as well. So he was absolutely incredible. Keyshawn Murphy had a double-double there with 16 points, 10 rebounds. So that's certainly nice to see. But yeah, all in all, you got 4 guys in double figures, and you just absolutely dominated a really, really good Arkansas team this year. But yeah, super impressed by Auburn and what they were able to get done there on Saturday. So they now move to 10-6 overall on the season. They are now 1-2 in conference play, and they will play Mizzou on Wednesday. That'll be the next battle there for Auburn. But that's a pretty good way to start off the weekend. Obviously, there with a big win on the hardwood for the Auburn Tigers. But let's get to a little bit of portal news as well, because there was a good bit of it this weekend. Damian. So we'll start off. Speaking of Alabama not being able to land a running back, well, good thing Auburn's got a couple of them. So Auburn, they go out, they get Byron Washington, who's a transfer running back from Baylor. So kind of interesting. I don't know if there's something between Auburn and maybe it's just him and Walker White, but
Oh boy,
I don't know. It just feels like maybe it's because Lagway's going, and there's just been stuff in the news, I guess, with Baylor. It just feels like
they're always there. Like they're just kind of around. And okay, yeah, I forgot about Baylor.
yeah, it's like I don't really know if I want to be in the SEC anymore. I'll go to Baylor. Like I don't know. Maybe that's just the thing now. But Auburn, they get Baylor running back Byron Washington. Last couple of seasons, rushed for 1,800 yards and 18 total touchdowns. So pretty good numbers there. So Jeremiah Cobb, I would imagine that'll be your backup. But we know Auburn, they like to have multiple running backs, and certainly getting the job done there. So that was a nice pickup there for the Auburn Tigers. How about this name, which it's more so his brother than it is him. But Auburn did get a tight end out of the portal from North Carolina, and that's Jake Johnson. And maybe you go, oh, okay, who is that? It sounds like that's familiar. His brother is Max Johnson, the quarterback, if you remember. Okay, so he was at North Carolina too, but he started at LSU. Then he went to A&M.
Mm-hmm.
There was another school in there, I think. I'm trying to remember what it was. It feels like there was another. But anyways, the longtime journeyman quarterback in college football, Max Johnson, his brother Jake Johnson, who's a tight end, he is committed to Auburn.
And complete sidebar, Max Johnson is now at Georgia Southern.
Okay, yeah, I saw where he committed somewhere over the weekend. Georgia Southern. Okay, so there you go. And speaking of Walker White, he's at Central Arkansas. I saw that over the weekend.
Fall from grace. But you just want to play. You just want
to play. But yeah, so Jake Johnson, the tight end, he's coming to Auburn as well. So there you go. Preston Howard goes in the portal. Jake Johnson comes in, right? Maybe that's just the way that one will work. But you got a couple other additions as well. So Auburn, they picked up UCLA defensive back Andre Jordan Jr., so some nice experience there in the secondary, which we know they needed after having a couple departures there, key departures. especially at cornerback. They get a transfer edge rusher, Nate Johnson. He's from Missouri. So didn't put up, big numbers or anything like that last year, but certainly a guy they think they can develop there on the defensive line. They also got another defensive lineman in Saint Ferrier. I'm assuming that I'm saying that right, but he's from Appalachian State. So another nice pick. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. He was, I think he was listed like 6'4", 330, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, he's a big old boy there. So Auburn getting some nice size there up front on the defensive line. And then some other good news is in the secondary is you found out that Sylvester Smith, the safety, he announced that he's coming back for 2026 as well. So all in all, pretty good weekend for Auburn. You went and got some help at positions of need and whooped up on a pretty good Arkansas team in basketball. And you got to, based on what my Twitter was looking like over the weekend, have some fun at the expense of your rival.
Absolutely. So altogether, a pretty good weekend. The departures don't seem as daunting as some of the guys that you're bringing in.
No, I think you're starting to, and again, right, I think it was just the sheer number of people, because I believe it's now like 36, somewhere around there, give or take a player, for the number of guys that have gone in the portal from Auburn. And, I mean, that's a lot of people, but when you have a coaching change, that kind of stuff is going to happen. But, I mean, you got your quarterback now. Like, you've got your running back room set. You've gotten some pieces at receiver to come in as well. Like, they've got to fix something. You need some offensive line help, right? You need to continue probably in the secondary, get a couple more pieces. But you can start to see where it's coming together if you're Auburn. And I think that's what makes a lot of people happy. And while we're on it, speaking of former Auburn Tigers, we did find out as well over the weekend, on top of Cam Coleman, that Eric Singleton, he's going to Florida. So
and did he not enter the draft, or did he not?
He said he was going to, but then
Florida called and was like, "Hey, you actually be taking a pay cut if you go to the NFL."
Yes,
makes sense.
Something that is also going on with I guess we would potentially say former quarterback here in the state that we can get to in a minute if you haven't seen that yet. But yeah, Eric Singleton. So Cam Coleman's going to Texas. Eric Singleton's going to Florida. And Deuce Knight, not a big surprise here, but he's going to Ole Miss. And he's from Mississippi. I think we all knew. I mean, as far as I knew, once he entered the portal, like that was kind of it. It was just a question of, all right, well, was Trinidad going to get another year, and was he going to be willing to sit, or was he going to, maybe then consider going somewhere else? But with Trinidad, his waiver getting denied by the NCAA last week, he is going to Ole Miss, so there's a strong belief there that Deuce Knight will be your starting quarterback for the Rebels and Pete Golding next year. Damien's favorite team, of course.
Yeah. Listen, the upside is there. If it clicks, you're not going to see that big of a drop-off between him and Trinidad Chambliss. It's just, he played well against Mercer.
Yeah, he's raw. He's raw. He's got a lot of potential, but got to get some experience.
Absolutely.
So wish him the best there at Ole Miss. But yeah, that's kind of your wrap-up, everything going on in Portal Land for the Auburn Tigers. So a pretty good weekend all in all for them. And not as great for Alabama, but, that's just the way that it goes sometimes. So let's go to Don real quick. He's been waiting by for a while, wanting to talk, I'm sure, about his Auburn Tigers. So no better time, Don. How are we feeling about the weekend and some of these portal moves?
No, actually, my buddy Conrad, I think I'm feeling better than you right now, brother. Hey, when I saw Hollywood Brothers flip the Texas yesterday, I said, oh, Lord, Conrad's going to have a rant tomorrow. You okay?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine, but I'm sure there's some people in Tuscaloosa that are a little concerned or trying to put something together quickly, but we'll see what they do.
Okay, well, actually, I got some more good news for Auburn. Hasn't been officially announced, but late last night, we got the Oregon quarterback. Got a weird name, Christian Tia. And he's basically going to be coming in to back up Byron Brown.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, that hasn't officially been announced yet. But you know what's weird about this, guys, is that I don't know if you know this or not, but all of a sudden, right in the middle of the transfer portal, you have a dead period today and tomorrow where kids cannot come on campus.
Yeah, I don't know how all of that works.
They got to get to school.
I was about to say, I guess.
Yeah, folks got to play school.
I guess because, well, that's true. I'm trying to think when do classes start for most people. They probably start this week.
Right.
Well, Auburn started class last week, and they're and Auburn's got to finish up with what they're going to have for the spring. I think by Wednesday, because it's drop ad day for Auburn on Wednesday. Auburn's already in school.
Yeah, well, as we all know, Don, school is the most important thing for these kids. So I'm just glad to know.
Oh yeah. Do we honestly think these kids go to school now?
They do. They just go online. So, but I guess that's the magic of being in college now. But thank you, Don. Appreciate you chiming in this morning. Sorry, we've got to move on there. But yeah, gonna be an interesting next couple of days for the world of college football as we kind of put a bow. Well, not to put a bow, but for now on the transfer portal and everything else that's going on there. But there is a lot else going on in the world of college football. And we were just talking about Eric Singleton. And, yeah, didn't that guy say he was going to the NFL draft? But then, Florida comes calling and they offer him a lot of money with another player from the SEC. And it very well may be Ty Simpson. So we'll tell you what we've heard, what schools are trying to get Ty Simpson to leave their program, and how much money could he potentially be leaving on the table if he does go to the NFL draft. We'll tell you the latest, what we're hearing on Ty Simpson and a potential return. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Monday, each and every morning here on Jocks. And we will be with you here until 7 o'clock when we will hand you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning. And, of course, they'll be with you from 7 to 10. Then after that, three-man front from 10 to 2. And, of course, the Paul Feinbaum Show to get you into your afternoon drive. But we were telling you before the break, we were kind of going over some of the good things that happened for Auburn this weekend, some of the big portal moves and things going on there. And we brought up Eric Singleton, who was a guy that came over from Georgia Tech in the portal last year to Auburn. They paid him a lot of money, as he was going to be kind of the 1B to Cam Coleman's 1A in that wide receiver core, or so we thought. Obviously didn't have the results that many people were expecting, so he decided he was going to go in the NFL draft, but the Florida Gators and John Summerall, I guess, called him and his representation said, hey, I think we can make you a pretty attractive offer to leave the NFL draft for next year and come back to college for another year. And that's what he did, so he's now going to Florida. Don't know what the dollar amount is, but we've seen stuff like that happen before, right? It happened with Cam Ward. He was going to go in the portal. Then Miami gives him a call, says, hey, big dog, how'd you like to make a few $1 million, come down here to South Beach and be our quarterback for another year?
Yep.
Worked out pretty well for him, right? He ended up being the number 1 overall pick a year after that. So there is a issue. Carson Beck did the same thing, if I'm not mistaken, last year. He was going to go in the NFL draft. Guess who made him a phone call? Miami Hurricanes. Hey, buddy, how'd you like to come down here and be a quarterback? We'll pay you $4 million.
Come on.
Well, they're playing for national championship next Monday, so I think they're happy with the result there. So I say all of that because, lo and behold, it's reported over the weekend that Miami's maybe making a phone call to a particular quarterback and saying, hey, buddy, we heard you were planning to go in the NFL draft. How does $6.5 million sound?
Amazing.
For 1 year. 6.5.
Whew.
And that player would be one Ty Simpson, the, I guess, still current kind of quarterback of the Alabama Crimson Tide. I don't know how we look at that.
The last one.
The last one. The last Alabama quarterback. But yeah, Miami says, all right, well, we'll offer you $4 million. I don't know if I'll do that. What if we went up to 5? Okay, that might be more interesting. How about 6.5? That's our final offer. It's a pretty good deal if you're Ty Simpson. I think you would definitely be considering that. On top of the fact that Miami reportedly offered him $6.5 million, the Tuscaloosa News also reporting that Tennessee and Ole Miss were in the running and had offered Simpson around $4 million to be their quarterbacks for next year.
Seems reasonable.
Pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's what surprised me a little bit. How much do you think Ty Simpson made this year at Alabama?
I'd say about 1.5.
All in all, we're talking, what their base salary is plus, bonuses and other stuff. You're going 1.5?
About 1.5.
This is, according to this article from Colin Gay of the Tuscaloosa News, $800,000.
Oh. See, I got him for cheap.
$800,000. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, so that's your story, is Miami is, and unsurprisingly, right, we knew that Miami, they're going to be, this is the game they play now, right? Can we go out and get a high-dollar, experienced quarterback to come in for 1 year?
Yep.
And they've had pretty good success with that over the last couple of years. Now trying to do it again with Ty Simpson. Again, he hasn't officially entered the portal. As of now, I guess it still looks like he's going to the NFL draft, but he has not signed his paperwork yet to enter the NFL draft. So it seems like they're at least maybe kicking the ball on, kicking the tires on this being something worth, and it is worth considering, right? That's
100%.
$6.5 million for 1 more year of school. Even if, I was looking at Jackson Dart's contract because he was a late first-round pick last year. Now, okay, he did get a $9 million signing bonus, which that's certainly quite nice. But in terms of his average salary per year, yeah, you'd be much better off if you're making 6.5 for this year in college football and then going to the NFL next year. Now, I think you do have to consider that next year's quarterback class might be a little more competitive, and so you might not be looking at a first-round grade, even if you have another really good year of college football. But it certainly seems like there's some decisions to be made there by Ty Simpson and his family. But I just thought that was interesting over the weekend that news did come out about Ty Simpson and some teams potentially being in the mix for him. And we had heard that, right, Tennessee and Oregon would be teams that I guess those were some rumors a couple of weeks back that, well, if he did go in the portal, this is who he would, maybe would be interested in him. So not a big surprise that Tennessee offered the money. Not a big surprise that Ole Miss offered the money because obviously with Trinidad Chambliss, not being certain about that situation, you want to have a backup plan, but they now have Deuce Knight. So we'll see, but maybe Ty Simpson going to head to South Beach and be the next Miami quarterback.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's a phone call I definitely would take.
You got to
throwing
listen.
out numbers like that. well, let me see what you got to offer first. That doesn't sound bad. But I think Ty Simpson strikes me as a guy that's loyal to the soil. He's an Alabama guy through and through, and I don't think that he. And again, from what I've seen and what I've heard and everything that I've kind of seen about Ty Simpson, he's Alabama through and through. He doesn't want to play. He doesn't strike me as a guy that want to play anywhere else, especially the college football realm, if it's not at the University of Alabama. And if not, we're going to the NFL. So while the offers, I mean, of course, like you said, you have to at least entertain it and hear what they have to say. But I do think that he is a guy that's not, my time here is done in college, taking my talents to the NFL, see what happens.
Yes. Yes, I will agree in terms of current players and just in college football. He seems to have a sense of loyalty that not a lot of other players have.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say, and look, I'm not like if he says, "Hey, I'm not going to the NFL. I'm going to Miami for a year. They're paying me $6 million, whatever." Good for you, man. Like,
right, you're making $800,000.
Yeah, I'm not. Trust me, I'm not gonna be sitting here going, "Oh, where's the loyalty?" Like, no, man, you got to go and do what's best for you. And if somebody's gonna pay you that, then I think you absolutely go for it. So that's going to be interesting, though, to see what happens with Ty Simpson if he does ultimately go to the NFL still, or if he does decide that he wants to run it back for another year. But it doesn't seem like the door would be open to a return to Alabama because I'm sure everyone knows this, but on Friday, Alabama re-signed both Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. So it seems like they're pretty entrenched with who their quarterbacks will be, or it'll be one of those two guys, obviously, as they'll battle it out this offseason. It kind of seems like they have already, made their decision on their moving forward as a program. It's time for a new face under center, and that'll be either Keelan Russell or Austin Mack. But certainly, good news that they were able to keep both of them. I don't think many of it, I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting that going into the offseason. I thought it was going to have to be one or the other. So happy to hear that. But would be curious to find out, and I'll try to do some digging, but curious to find out what the number would be for both of those guys, just when we, what I was telling you there about, Ty Simpson, based on what I'm reading from the Tuscaloosa News, he didn't even make $1 million this year from, his deals with Alabama. So I'd just be curious if, what it costs to retain both of those guys. And
then if Ty were to say, I'm coming back.
Well, I don't think they're doing that just in terms of like,
what that number looks like in that room.
Well, yeah, and I think people were, because I think Keelan Russell's a guy that, probably 7 figures for a lot of schools that would offer him that if he wanted it. So we'll see, but at least again, while things may be a little rocky on the roster as a whole, at least you got your quarterback situation figured out for the future, because that's the most important one. But now it's time to go get you running back, get you some offensive linemen, get you some defensive linemen. Those would be some good pickups to make there. I do believe, but that's a good time to mention that if you did miss the news, because this happened late last night, Alabama did actually pick up a portal guy this week, and they got a defensive lineman from Mississippi State. Actually, they got Kedrick Bingley Jones is his name. He had 25 tackles this year, so he is coming in the portal for Alabama, and then they got a defensive back from Mercer. So I will just. I think a lot of people could probably have fun if you went and looked at the 6 or 7 guys that Alabama's gotten out of the portal, and then you look at the school that's attached to some of the names.
Yeah. Developmental pieces.
Yes.
You got to have depth.
Yep.
That's one way to put it.
You got to have warm bodies that can participate in practice. And potentially on Saturdays. Yes.
Absolutely.
That is certainly important. So that's kind of your what's going on there with Alabama. But certainly seems like Ty Simpson's going to have a big decision to make, as he would have to, if he wanted to come back, he would have to enter his name into the portal by Friday. So we'll see how that kind of progresses here throughout the week. But a lot of you chiming in with your thoughts this morning, some of you talking about Alabama and Ty Simpson, some of you asking, how the heck are these schools paying on this? Well, kind of, but not really. But yeah, a lot of you chiming in, 205-834-9450. That'll get you on the courtesy to hear from you. Any of your questions, thoughts, concerns, what have you about the weekend, we'd love to hear from you there. And we'll go to the text line next here on Morning JOX.
6:49 here on Morning Jocks. Damian and Conrad here with you for a few more minutes. Let me tell you about our friends at Hometown Roofing and Restorations. Trust the experts for your roofing needs. If you're in the Birmingham area, make sure you call on somebody you can trust. And I'm telling you, my buddies Ryan and Shane and everybody there are Hometown Roofers. And family-owned, grounded in faith and community-oriented, satisfaction-focused with your needs in mind, and you can count on honest communication. The goal is to get it right the first time. And if it's an insurance claim, give my friends at Hometown Roofing and Restorations a call, and they'll take the ball for you, so you don't have to worry about any of the red tape, the back and forth with the insurance company. Only top quality materials. They're certified in 2 of the best national brands of shingle, and they offer lifetime material warranties. Financing is available, and if you have signs of an aging roof or roof damage, Hometown Roofing and Restorations offers free inspections, also rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They can also handle siding, windows, and gutters, and minor remodels. All you got to do is call 205-984-4777 or htroofers.com. Again, the number is 205-984-4777 or htroofers.com. Hometown Roofing and Restorations. Do it right the first time.
All right, time to head to the Courtesy GMC text line, as we love getting to hear from you each and every morning here on the program. But 205-834-9450, that's how you can chime in and get your thoughts through to myself and Damian. Like Eric in Adamsville, who he chimes in this morning. He says, if Justice Haynes is still available and there's no bad blood, Alabama needs to make that phone call. I will say I do believe I saw where he entered the portal with a do not contact, which
he knows where he's going.
Typically means you know where you're going, and I don't think it's Alabama. But yeah, I've said it a couple times this year. Hindsight's always 20/20, but I think we can all look back now and go, maybe that was the guy you should have paid.
Oh, 100%. Even when he left, I thought, that's a bigger loss than I think people realize. The one run, I specifically remember when they played Missouri at home, and he bounces off that dude, takes it 60 yards,
Yep.
and I'm like, yeah, you just don't build them like that no more, man.
This is my assumption. I'm assuming they went, we're going to be more of a pass-happy offense. Let's get the guy that's better in pass pro.
Right.
And, again, I mean, you never know that guy's going to get hurt and have the stuff that Jam had go on. But I think as a pure running back, yeah, Justice Haynes definitely showed at Michigan before he got hurt this year that he's a pretty special player. Let's see. This text rolls in and says, I'm a Bama fan through and through, but I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in Coach DeBoer. Have you heard of any coaching staff changes? I will just say this. I know everybody wants the offensive line coach gone, and I understand why. I've been told that maybe that's not going to happen, and that maybe there's not going to be a bunch of changes, which I know would make some people not very happy. But yeah, I would just say this. Some of the coaching changes that I think a lot of fans would say, oh, that seems like an obvious move, or if a move was to be made, it would be that one. Maybe don't hold your breath on some of those things. But things change all the time, as we know. Matt chimes in here. He says, I will say that after I watched Indiana boat race Oregon, I did feel a lot better as an Alabama fan to see that Indiana is really just that dang good. It could have easily been 10-7 at halftime of the Rose Bowl. We were just way too inconsistent. If we can get that fixed, Alabama's actually a pretty good team. I guess that was probably the highlight of the weekend if you're an Alabama fan was, oh, okay, well, it's not just us.
It's very similar to Ohio State last year, where Indiana's just rolling at the right time, man. There's no denying that they are the best team in college football because they're doing this in the playoffs. This isn't a regular season Week 3 FCS opponent. They're doing it when it matters most, and they beating the brakes off people.
Yeah, they're very, very impressive. So, but I didn't see a lot of people saying Oregon and Dan Lanning didn't belong in the playoffs. So, I'm kidding. This text rolls in. It says, we got a hater this morning. See, he texted in at the start of the show, Bama has poverty NIL. He then just now texted back and said, Alabama's 16th in the SEC in the portal. I love it. They're broke after paying millions to retain years of top 3 recruiting classes.
Okay.
I mean, it's just what you're saying is true, but I'm assuming that this person's also an Auburn fan. It's just funny because y'all did the same. I mean, why do you think all these guys left? Because you paid them way more than they were worth last year, and Now they're leaving because
And?
you don't want to pay them because they weren't as good as you paid them to be.
Exactly. So which is worse, overpaying for a roster and getting eliminated by the best team in the college football playoff, or paying an exuberant amount of talent and going 5-7? And now those guys are gone. Which one would you rather be in? Of like, oh, we overpaid and our record was also indicative of where we were as a program. But they were close, though. They were close.
We'll see. This one says, yeah, but Auburn's replaced talent where Alabama hasn't. I'll give them credit. Auburn's done a better job getting guys out of the portal. They also had almost twice as many guys go in the portal as Alabama, so they had to bring in more
Also,
guys.
if you hadn't, there's no way a lot of people watch USF. They couldn't name you half the players that are going to be on your roster next year.
No, besides Byron